Hi, I'm Nancy Quinn. I think you are really going to enjoy today's recipe for the orange bread. And it starts with 2 tablespoons of grated orange peel. But please be careful of your fingers. 2 1/2 cups of flour are the first ingredient, 1 1/4 cups of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now in this recipe, I like to thoroughly mix the dry ingredients first. You want to get the baking powder and the baking soda well incorporated into the flour so that your cake rises evenly. Then it's time for the wet ingredients, and you'll start with 2 eggs. And then after the eggs, you're going to add in 1/4 a cup of melted butter and a 1/2 cup of orange juice. Now, the orange juice, you can either use the kind, again, from the store, your supermarket, or you can take a fresh orange and run it through the blender and use that. I've actually made the cake using it both ways, and either way you won't be disappointed. You'll have a really nice orange flavor. And that grated orange peel that we worked on, that goes in next. 2 tablespoons of water. And then just move your hands around for no reason for a moment or two. And then the next ingredient will be 1 cup of chopped walnuts. I also like to add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now once the wet ingredients have been mixed into the dry ones, you're going to need to thoroughly mix it together. And this will probably take you a few minutes because your batter is going to begin to get just a little bit stiff. And at first it is hard to mix it, but it'll be worth the work, I promise you. And you know that in time it will get kind of stuck up onto the spatula. And then, of course, I just scrape it down with a spoon. And at this point in the recipe, I like to start using the spoon because it will mix a whole lot better. Now in your pan that you've already prepared, you can go ahead and put the batter in when it's thoroughly mixed, and this gives you a good idea of what it looks like. You also get a great idea of what my arm and my elbow look like. But you see the color of the batter and the consistency. Then you're just going to move it around and get it into the pan. Bake at 350 for about 45 minutes, maybe a little more, depending on your elevation. But just make sure you use the toothpick test. And here, oh, it's out of the oven. And the whole time it was baking, the place smelled like an orange grove. So let's make the glaze for this cake. We'll need a 1/2 cup of butter, 2 cups of powdered sugar, 1 1/2 teaspoons of vanilla, 4 tablespoons of hot water, and 1 teaspoon of orange juice. Now you're going to put everything into one bowl at the same time, and you can see that I have to stir it very vigorously because you want that hot water to melt the powdered sugar. And you don't want it too stiff or too runny, so you want it rather syrupy and kind of thick, just like the texture here that I'm showing you. And once it's mixed up, now it's time to glaze. Now you can just pour it into the pan and serve it family style in the pan as it is, or if you want something a little more, creative and artistic, you can cut it into pieces and just drizzle the glaze all over it as I'm doing here. So I think that you're going to be really happy with this recipe. I definitely want to know if you give it a try. And if you're a fan of oranges, you really can't go wrong with this one. So thank you so much for the time that we've spent together today. You can always investigate the links below or contact me if you have a question. I appreciate it. Thank you. We'll see you next time. I hope you have a really great day today, and don't worry, be happy.